Today, the traditional office boundaries basically are becoming very blurred. Companies and leaders are presented with both opportunities and challenges in adopting effective collaboration across the teams which are virtually present all across the globe, or in different cities, even if it's in the same city, but they're all virtually present. You're not going to the office every day, you're not meeting them face to face, right? So while remote work offers flexibility and diverse talent acquisition, it also requires leaders to cross the hurdles that may not be prevalent in the traditional office setting, right? So where you actually get ready in the morning, you take a commute, you reach the office, you say hello, good morning to your colleagues face to face. But here, managing your teams in a very virtual work environment, it becomes very difficult. It's something new that people are living with now, because I think after COVID, in India especially, this culture of remote work or virtual office started off in a very big way, where people had to literally adjust. But I think now, if we talk about it today, people have adjusted. People like working from home or creating a little office space within their house and work on that. But yes, there are still challenges. So when you have to manage your virtual teams, then it becomes a bit challenging, although you have learned to manage your teams virtually. But let's look at today what could be the top 8 or 9 challenges that leaders face when they're managing their virtual teams, and how can you overcome those, right? So, and if you have anything more to add beyond what I've already mentioned, happy to hear from you, right? So let's get started with our today's episode, Thinking Out Loud Thursdays. You're with me, Sonia, and we're gonna have coffee together as always, that we always do, right? So let's get started. Like always I request you to please hit the subscribe button if you've still not done so, and let's get started. So if we actually look at it in a traditional office, everything is like face to face. You get to have coffee with your colleagues, you have lunch with your colleagues. So there's a lot of bonding that you're developing when you are face to face with your team members, with your colleagues, with your leaders, right? So if there's any thought coming to you, you just need to walk up to the other person's cabin and you can talk, you can discuss, you can clear all the issues which are there, right? But in a virtual environment, you have to there are platforms, there are tech platforms given, there are tools given to you to start collaborating with each other. Not everybody is very comfortable using those tools, but yes, अगर सर पे पड़ी है तो आपको वो tools को use करना पड़ेगा. You'll have to learn how to use those tools, right? So, but what are the common challenges that people face when you're managing virtual teams? Number one is, of course, communication barriers, right? Like I said, when you're going to office, if there's anything that you want to say, you just need to step out of your the table, chair, whatever, your work desk which has been given you from your workstation, and you have to move to the other person's workstation, which is just hardly 2-3 steps away, and you can discuss anything which is there. So there is no scope for any confusion there, because whatever that you want to talk, you're able to just walk across and say whatever is there in your mind. But in virtual teams, you really can't do that. So there is lack of face-to-face or one-on-one interaction are not possible. Non-verbal cues are limited. So, and then there are this leads to the chances of being misunderstood. There is reduced team bonding which is there. People are not able to connect with each other. They're simply just working from home, but there is no emotional or there is no work connect that is happening very clearly. So I think in that case, you need to establish very clear communication protocols within the company. You should encourage for more of video meetings or video calls rather than just having con calls, or rather just using the tools that you have, maybe Google Workspace or Asana or Trello. So whichever tools that you're using, encourage to have even video meetings, because there you're actually seeing each other's face. And when you're doing video meetings, make sure that everybody has switched on their camera, because many times what you do is maybe you're just sitting in your night suit and attending to your meeting. But if you do not switch on the camera, then the purpose of doing like a video meeting is like not there much. So you should be able to see each other's faces, see the smiles, look at if is anybody who's wanting to talk, you should be able to look at that person and then talk, so that whatever is the disadvantage of not being in the traditional, you're able to cover up a bit when you're doing these little things, right? So start using collaboration tools. I'm sure the companies are already using like Asana or Slack. So these tools are also very important because they help you communicate with your team on a very real-time basis. But yes, it's very important to remove any such communication barriers. Keep checking with your teams from time to time that I hope, you all are perfectly okay. Is there anything that you would like to discuss? Maybe you could have one-on-one discussions with your team separately, or you can have group meetings separately, and try to organize some lighter events also, so that if there is any issue that is building up, you can handle it there before it becomes very big, right? So the next one is building and maintaining trust. Now, trust is very, very important, especially when you're doing your when you're managing your virtual teams. Trust is important in any scenario, right? But when you're meeting somebody face to face, when you're interacting with somebody face to face, at that time, to get into a trust zone is much easier because you are right in face to face with the other person. But when you're not face to face with the other person, and that, the other person, you can only see them on your desktop, you can only see them in some video meetings that you're doing, etc. At that time, to build trust, to build a rapport with your team becomes a big challenge, right? For that, I think what you can do is do some team bonding exercises, which I'm sure companies are doing, but do it more regularly if needed, because you can say that, okay, fine, let's have a coffee break and get everybody to have coffee together, chit chat a bit, have lunch together. Maybe you can say that, okay, fine, let's do a virtual potluck lunch, everyone. Okay, so you can do that. You can, but be very open in your communication. Hold people accountable, because if you don't do that, then trust will not be there. If you want your team to perform better, if you want your team to actually be successful, then you need to hold your team also accountable. Give them very clear set guidelines and let them work accordingly, right? The next is team collaboration and cohesion, right? So when you're actually in a face-to-face environment, in a traditional work environment, collaborating with your team is very easy, because you call for a team meeting, you're all sitting in a conference room, you're giving instructions, the team is contributing their ideas and stuff like that. If there's anything the person wants to add, there is a whiteboard, you write on that, you do your ideations there. But in a virtual team environment, it becomes slightly difficult, because the teams are spread across the city, across the state, or across the country, or even different countries for that matter. So their collaboration with the entire team becomes a little challenging. But I think for that, use these tools like Google Workspace, or start doing some team building exercises, do some virtual whiteboard for ideations, etc. And I'm sure many companies are doing that. But if you're not doing that, please explore these opportunities, speak to your IT people, look at which are the tools that your team will be able to easily pick up and adopt and implement, right? So please start doing that, and you'll see that the team is going to be very will actually start collaborating in a better way, and you will benefit in the long run, because then your team is actually working as a team and not going into different directions, right? So the next one is basically managing performance. Now, of course, I'll give you the example of traditional versus virtual. Now, when we're doing appraisals in a very traditional office setting, what happens? Your boss calls you, or you are basically calling your team member for a review. And in a face-to-face, the team member is speaking heart out, putting the points across, is talking very openly, and you're able to do a fair evaluation of your team member during appraisals, or if you want to guide them into something which that they're lacking, etc. But when you're in a virtual team environment, there you need to set very clear expectations. What are you expecting from each and every team member? Because when you do that, then you can do outcome-based performance. When you do outcome based performance, then you know that, whatever is the deliverables that they've handled, how much have they achieved, have they slacked behind something. Then you can ask them, do one-on-one discussions, do group discussions, to know where the team requires a little bit of hand holding. Where are they slacking? Why are they slacking? Are they facing any problems? Is their technology, like the tech platforms at home, are they working fine? Is their Wi-Fi, the speed is fine or not, etc.? Badly needed a sip. So you need to actually set very clear expectations. Start taking feedback from the team as to how are they going around with it. Have one-on-one also, not just have group, because there'll be many people who will not be able to talk in a group. But yes, when you start doing these one-on-one on a regular basis with them, they will start connecting with you even more, right? See, these are not the points for only leaders who have been handling virtual teams for a very long time. Today, you were a team member. Tomorrow, maybe you become a leader and you've never led a team which is actually in a virtual work environment or a hybrid work environment where you go to office for maybe 2 days, 3 days, and the rest of the days you're working from home, right? So these points, if you take into consideration, it will help you a long way in going ahead in your careers, right? The other is, of course, very common, time zone differences. So if you're basically managing a virtual team, which is, say, you've got people from India, you've got people from US, you've got people from Canada, you've got people from UK. Now, every country has different time zone. So getting everybody to collaborate together and respecting each other's time zones becomes a bigger challenge. So maybe you can create like a open calendar where people can block their times basis which times are they available. People can put in the open calendar itself, these times you're available for any kind of discussions or any kind of meetings, and that open calendar can be seen by anyone. So if you want to interact with somebody who's sitting in the US, you look at that person's open calendar and you say, okay, fine, this is the time for discussion and this is the time convenient for you as well, and you can block your time. So it's very simple. Start using the tools, respect each other's times, and do not let these things get in the way of delaying your projects and achieving your targets, right? So you need to look at these things in a more look at the larger picture and schedule and exchange, encourage for communication basis shared calendars or any such format that you would like to use, right? So the next is, of course, after time zone, there are technology challenges as well, right? So when you're going virtual, everything you have to do is a setup at home, right? Agar aapka Wi-Fi down ho gaya, yeah, there is some problem with your laptop. Now in the office, what you do is you call your IT person to look at your laptop, right? Now if you're at home, whom will you call, right? You might just have your basic members of your family who may not know how to handle whatever is the technology issue that you're facing, right? So in that case, you need to be very clear with providing enough training to your team members so that they are self-reliant. They don't need to rely on a third party if there is any kind of a challenge that comes in managing whichever tech platform that they are managing, right? So if there is any small little issues happen anywhere, they're able to handle it themselves. So make sure that you keep providing on a continuous basis. It's not like you provided at one time or pure saal bhar aap bhul jao. No, maybe you can do this quarterly training so that people are able to refresh whatever is required. If there are any updates that have happened in the technology, you can share that as well. So try and do like a minimum quarterly training session with the entire team so that they're upbeat with what is happening in the technology. They're able to handle it themselves. And also make sure that your IT team is easily accessible. Even virtually, your IT teams should be easily accessible in case if there is an issue that they can't handle and it requires an IT person only to intervene, and then only it can be corrected. But make sure that your IT teams are readily available and they're accessible to all your team members at all times, right? The next one that I want to talk about is onboarding and training. Now, when you have your new joinees coming in, new team members who are joining your team, it is very, very crucial that you start doing an onboarding. So there is an onboarding protocol, there is an onboarding system that you've actually put into place so that people are aware of what's happening around. They're able to easily catch up with the progress of various projects that the teams are handling, and the new team members are supposed to be part of it. So it is best that you create some new onboarding protocol, and the new team members have to go through that. You can create like a buddy system also. You can within the team, the new team member gets one old team member as a buddy, and the old team member starts training the other new team member as well. And so which means, then the new team member immediately gets some professional like help in terms of making friends with each other and being very comfortable in that virtual team environment. So please have these onboarding and training protocols, because that helps the new team members settle in very quickly in the organization, right? So the second last point that I want to discuss with you is professional boundaries. Now, remember COVID times, we were all working from home. Even if we were not working from home and we have a traditional office setup, but during COVID times, we were actually working from home. And imagine we used to open our laptop at 7 o'clock till रात के 10-11 बजे तक, our laptops used to be on. And there were times that you used to feel burnout, and you used to say, okay, fine, there is a benefit in working from home, but it's a headache. I mean, like, you have to be available all the time. Your people are expecting you to be available 24/7, which is not possible, because see, when you're working from home, of course, you to take care of your personal responsibilities, and you have to concentrate on work. And so there is this thin line which is differentiating your personal life and your work life gets blurred. So basically, you do not get any personal space, you do not get any personal time, and you are all the time checking your mails, you're always sitting on your desktop, right? So that creates a little bit of a burnout. So please make sure that there are professional boundaries, make sure there are realistic goals given to your teams that they're able to achieve. Achievable deadlines should be given to your teams, and not to say that, okay, fine, immediately, because the team member might need to collaborate with other team members who may not be available at a time that this person wants to collaborate with them, wants to interact with the other team members. So please acknowledge these challenges, and only then give them very achievable deadlines and goals that they can actually achieve, but not very easy goals also that they can quickly turn around and give it to you. But yes, make it difficult for them, but at the same time, make it achievable as well. It should not be like a big challenge that they get very demotivated and they don't know how to handle things, right? So the last one I want to discuss is distractions. Now, when we are like in one-on-one, we are in face-to-face in the traditional work environment, we have this we have one-on-one sessions with our bosses. We have group meetings happening. So there are not too many distractions that we have. But when we are at home, there are too many distractions, right? The other family members might be watching TV in the other room, or the doorbell might be ringing all the time, or they will be like, of course, your social media, your WhatsApp, everything is ting, bing, everything going here and there. And you are getting distracted, or maybe there are too many meetings which are lined up by the calendar that you're not able to do your actual work, because all your time is going into doing one-on-one meetings or group meetings only. So you're not getting time for your own personal professional space. You're not getting at all. So I think in that case, the leaders should be doing one-on-one meetings with the team members to figure out, I hope they're not too distracted. I hope they're focused towards work. If they are distracted, what is leading them to be so distracted that they're not able to deliver on time, right? So please have these one-on-ones, have group discussions also, but not so many that the person is not able to concentrate and do their work, right? So please see if they need some training, arrange for good workshops, and these workshops do help people to maintain good work-life balance, be away from distractions, managing the performance. I think the training modules and workshop modules will be very different from the traditional work environment. When you're looking at a virtual team environment, then you know the kind of workshops that you want to do, or the trainings that you want to do, or the webinars that you want to do will be totally very different, focused on how to improve your team's productivity. At the end, that's the goal, right? You don't want your team to burn out, but at the same time, you want your team to be very effective. You want your team to grow and be successful as well, right? So I think on that note, I'm going to end my Thinking Out Loud Thursdays. Please remember that the journey of managing virtual teams is a very continuous process. It's not like ek baar kar liya to, you're sorted for the rest of your life. No, this journey of managing virtual teams is a very continuous process. It keeps evolving from time to time. You have to keep adapting to it. You have to be committed to it as well, right? So you have to be committed so that, it leads to the improvement of you managing your virtual teams more effectively and driving better results with good collaboration and increasing the efficiency of the team and yourself in the long run. Yes. So on that note, let me end my Thinking Out Loud Thursdays. But before I go, hit the subscribe button if you've still not done so. And yes, I forgot to mention at the start of my video that my first book is out on Amazon. That is Career Chaos and Coffee Stains. Do grab your copy. It's a very interesting book. And I'm glad that people have started leaving some reviews on Amazon as well, because it's really nice. See, being my first baby, the first book that I've written, I'm so excited to read each and every review. And yes, so please grab your copy and tell me how you find my book, and also do leave a comment as to how you found this video of mine, and if there's anything else that you want to add, happy to read your comments, please. So leave your comments below, right? On that note, please have a fabulous Thursday, and I'm going to see you next Thursday. Bye bye everyone.